Hi guys, I am here today to talk about flexibility and stretching. This is something that has been integral to me in training and avoiding injury and just keeping my muscles long and keeping everything open. And I find when I have had a good stretch session or had a great yoga class that I sleep deeper and I wake up without aches and pains, which is, I tell you, as we get older, what we want. So tonight I'm going to go through a few of my favorite stretches, and as long as you're warm, so you've been walking or moving around, you're not just kind of, getting out of bed and starting to stretch without being warm, you can stretch. Ideally, you want to be, warmed up and definitely take the time to do that before you get into stretching. So if I'm ever going to do stretching while we're sitting in front of the TV or anything in the evening, which I do before bed, I will make sure that I've kind of gotten up and moved around, jogged on the spot, make sure that everything is warmed up and you're not starting to stretch from being cold. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of my favorite stretches. I'm going to go through them fairly quickly, but I'm going to give you the cues that I like to get into each and every stretch. So here we go. You get complete with Lego towers in the background. Okay, first, we're going to come into a runner's lunge. So one knee is bent and one foot underneath, kind of underneath your shoulders, if you can see. I'm going to show you from a side view as well here. So one knee down behind you, one knee bent up in front, and you're going to open up, come up here, standing, and you really want to open up this hip flexor. So on my left side here, you can see that I'm long. I'm really trying to open up that left hip. So I'm actually squeezing from my front foot in towards my back knee. So I'm activating my glutes and hamstrings and this bent leg, as well as opening up the front of the hip flexor on this side. Okay, and then I'm going to sit back here, and I'm going to isometrically drag this front heel. In this case, it's my right, back towards my left. So my right hip is coming in and back. So squeezing, and you're going to feel more of a hamstring stretch here. Okay, so that is the first. And obviously do this stretch on both sides. Okay, that is one of my favorites. Second is a straddle. So in a nice wide leg straddle, you want to make sure that your knees are pointing towards the sky, that your spine is nice and long, so like someone's got a piece of thread and is pulling the crown of your head up towards the sky. You want to flex hard through both feet, like you're driving both legs into the ground, because you never want to do this stretch if your quads are not engaged, because this is where you can really injure a hamstring. So you want to make sure that everything is open, and you want to take your navel in towards your spine, keep your spine long, and then if you have it in you to walk out and keep your spine straight, then do. Otherwise, just inch yourself forward by pushing your hands behind you, keeping that spine long. And oftentimes, this sort of inner thigh hamstring stretch here is enough for people. Yeah, and then I like to take it to the side. So if I'm turning to the right, I'm actually going to, with a long straight spine again, take my right hip, my right ribs back and look over my right shoulder here. Stretch, still flexing hard through these feet. Then I'm going to reach up and over, stretch to the side. Again, legs are still really engaged, opening that chest towards the sky. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So reaching, taking my left ribs towards the back, looking over my left shoulder. Stretch. Stretching up and over. And then after I've done that, I like to come back to the middle again for just a little bit more stretch. And again, I kind of use these stretches as sort of meditation in a way, because I'll get into each one and really hold them as long as I can and really breathe into wherever I'm tight, just trying to really focus on opening it up. Okay, so that's that. Then I like to put my feet out in front in a pike position. So oftentimes I'll bend my knees, grab my toes here, and again, nice straight spine, navel in towards your spine. I slowly straighten my legs out in front of me. If you can't get them all the way straight, that's just fine. And you don't really want to round in. If you can avoid it, try and keep that spine nice and straight, stretching those feet out in front of you to feel nice stretch. And like I said, this is not a competition when you're stretching, so just make sure that that you don't think of it that way. You're trying to open up where you're tight, and everyone is different and holds tension and tightness in different areas. So if your knees never go straight here, it's just fine. So love this one, pike stretch. And if you can come in lower and you want to reach in with a flat back, then absolutely do so. Another favorite of mine is to sit in a cross-legged position. Glue your sits bones, your butt cheeks, whatever you want to call them, to the floor. And again, with that navel to spine engagement, to take your navel down towards the fold of your legs and stretch out in front here. Okay, so either with a regular cross-legged position, or if you're flexible in the hips, you can cross your legs here, or even more so here, and just stretch out and over. Breathe into those hips. We hold a lot of tension in our hips, in our upper back, so we really want to focus and stretch. So again, you want to hold those as long as you can, and what you do to one side, you always do to the other. Stretch. And while I'm sitting in this position with my feet, when you are doing this one as well, I should say, keep flexed in your feet. Make sure that your legs are still active here. You can actually clasp your hands behind your back, open up your chest and your collarbones. We often spend way too much time like this in front of computers and on these devices. So stretch up and open your chest, open your collarbones. Okay, reach forward. And if you can, stretch here. You can even take your arms up to the sky. And oftentimes here I'll stretch shoulders. So really think about spreading your scapula, wrapping that shoulder around to the front. Big stretch here. Same on the other side. And stretch triceps. Switch. And a quad stretch that I like is just to kind of bend both knees and take my back foot in towards my bum, if you can see that here. Stretch, and then gently lean back until you feel a good stretch in the front of the leg. Move down gently if you're going to lay down. Stretch, so stretching out that quadricep. And coming up and switching sides. Stretch. And I know I mentioned to you that I use these stretches as sort of meditation, and I do. I love to do them before I go to sleep at night. And to sit in them, I find that I have much deeper sleep, and my hips and everything are so nice and open. So I hope you enjoyed that little stretching routine. Don't go through it as fast as I did. Really breathe into all of the stretches, and let me know what you think.